Hello. Last time we built a simple chatbot that allowed us to better understand capabilities and limitations of Voiceflow knowledge bases when you are using the UI. We understood that we are not able to specify a specific knowledge base file that needs to be used for answering specific questions. We also understood that we are not able to select a specific LLM just to answering certain questions. For example, if we want to answer a question in this new block 4, we might want to use GPT-4, and for the new block 5, we might want to use just GPT 3.5, just because one question is more complex and needs more sophisticated LLM to give correct answer. Having those limitations in mind, we will be looking into what can be done by using Voiceflow APIs. And Voiceflow APIs give us a lot more possibilities, a lot more flexibility. You can find all the documentation regarding the APIs I will be using on the official Voiceflow API reference. Today we will be looking into the knowledge base management API, so uploading a non-URL document, getting information about the already uploaded documents, listing the documents. We will also look into knowledge base tags API, how to create new tags, how to tag documents with certain tags, and we will also be looking into knowledge base querying API, how to query the knowledge base, how to tell what kind of LLMs to use for the querying, how many chunks, and so on and so on. All the API documentation you can find on the Voiceflow API reference page, and we will start by using the Postman. I already have created all the needed endpoints in the Postman to interact with the Voiceflow API. And for the interaction with the API, you will also need to get an API key. So you can get an API key in the integration section. You can either use the primary API key, you can generate a secondary API key, and once you have the API key, you can copy it and then you can use for your requests. And how to use the API keys, how to pass them, it's already documented in the API reference documentation. It's really simple. You just need to pass the header with the authorization key and also your token value. So I already have everything set up, and the very first thing that we will do, we will query our knowledge base, and we can see both files which we uploaded last time. So exterior door PDF and interior doors PDF. And as you can see, it has some additional information like tags, which is not visible on the UI side, and this will be one of the important things. So the other interesting thing that you can do with the API when you are loading the file, you can set chunk sizes, basically how many tokens a chunk will have. And based on the API reference, we can set chunk sizes in the range from 500 to 1,500. So the default is 1,000, and what it basically means in how big of a chunks your knowledge base file is being cut. So what we can do, we can list our documents, get the ID, and then we can check how those chunks look like. So in here we have information about the document, and you can see that the chunks of 1,000 tokens, and we can see that this file was cut into 3 chunks. And when you do a search with a knowledge base, basically what it does in the background, first, it searches chunks which are related to your question. It retrieves them, and then it will pass those chunks to the LLM to generate the answer for you. We already have these 2 documents uploaded. They are kind of good. We will not be re-uploading them. The next thing that we will look into will be the knowledge base query API. So we will try to get the information from our knowledge base. So in here, I already have prepared request to query the knowledge base and all the parameters and information, what needs to be sent and how is documented in this API reference. You can even use this reference. The only thing that you need to provide is your API authorization key, and you can just try this API from the API reference page. But we will use the postman for that. And as you can see, like we have things like the question, the actual question that customer is asking. So we provide it like this. Then we can say how many chunks we want to retrieve that are relevant to this question. Then the more useful thing is whether you want to just retrieve the chunks, or do you want for the Voiceflow to also generate you the answer. So the difference is that if we want to do the synthesis, it will generate the answer and it will be consuming your usage tokens to generate the answer. Now, if you only want to retrieve chunks, but you don't want to do the synthesis, you can send a request and get all the relevant chunks from, as you can see, they are from different files. So we have one from the exterior, one from the interior. In fact, we have two from the interior. But the interesting thing is that this allows you to get the relevant chunks and not consume the tokens. So if we look in here, we will see that the current usage is 149,000, and we can send this request multiple times and the usage will not be increasing because we are only getting the chunk information from the knowledge base and we are not asking to generate the actual answer. So you can see the output is null. And if we say that we want, in fact, to get the answer, we can send it. It takes a bit longer, but it does generate the answer. It also provides the chunks that were used to generate the answer. We additionally have how many tokens were used for the query, for the answer, and the total amount. And if we look in here, we already see that, okay, so now we used around 1,000 or 2,000 tokens. Well, in fact, 1,650 tokens to generate this answer. A synthesis parameter is kind of useful if, for example, you don't want to use the models that the Voiceflow use to generate the answer. So if you set it false, the Voiceflow knowledge base can act just like a vector database that is free to use. It does not consume tokens when you use it. And the other thing is, you see, we have a settings object, and in here you can define what kind of model you want to use for the querying, and the list of available models you can also find in the API reference. If, for example, we use in the settings, we can see that we have DaVinci, GPT 3.5, we have Cloud Instant 1, 2, and GPT-4. So you can choose whatever you want to use. So that's about the querying and getting the answers from the knowledge base. But there's still one functionality. It is selecting which specific files you want to use for querying the knowledge base and generating the answer. Because as you can see now, like we are using exterior doors file and we're also using interior doors file. But in fact, we can target specific files, but for that we need to tag them. And first we will look into tagging the files, how it's done. So we will create some tags and then we will use those tags to query the knowledge base, and we will see how it actually works. You can see we have exterior doors. Let's use this name as a tag. So we will create one tag. Okay, so tag created. Then Let's get back to the list, create another tag. So we'll have interior doors. And now we can check that in fact we have two new tags. What do we do with them? Well, because we already have tags and we already have files uploaded, we need to attach those files to the documents. So for that, you will need the document ID. So we go to the API endpoint that will return us the list of documents. And let's take the exterior door document ID, paste it as a parameter, and we will use the tag label to tag this document, and later on we'll see how it works. So we got the status 200. Okay, so it means that it was successful. Next, we want to tag a different document. Again, we update the document ID, and the document ID in fact goes into the URL of the API endpoint. So we add this document ID, then we go to the tag list, copy a different label, and we will tag a file, and it's okay. Now, if we go back to our knowledge base document list endpoint, as we can see, like, we have no tags for both of these documents. And now if you send a new request, we can see that now the files are tagged, and these tags will allow us to target these files when querying the knowledge base. For example, let's copy this exterior doors tag, go back to our knowledge base query endpoint, and we will add tags, and we'll say tags include items, so exterior doors. So it will search for all the knowledge base files that are tagged with this exterior doors tag. And in fact, you can add multiple tags. For example, it could be exterior doors, and it could also be interior doors. If, for example, you are trying to answer a customer's question that might require information from both of these documents, or all the documents that are tagged with both of these tags. And in here we also have the operator. In most cases, I think you will use or, and if for example you only have one tag, I don't think it even matters if it's an or and, because you only have one tag. But either way, so as we can see previously, when we ran this API call with the question, we got the answers from the exterior doors, we got the answer from the interior doors. So we got these chunks from all the knowledge base files. Now we want to only target this exterior doors tag and get the chunks from all the files that are tagged with this tag. Let's try to do this. And the result is that, okay, so this chunk is from exterior doors, this one is the same, this one is the same. It works. Now we have the capability to target specific knowledge base files, and we can do the same with the interior. Let's say instead of exterior doors, our question needs to get the answer from the files that are tagged with the interior doors tag. And again, we say that get all the chunks from files that are tagged with this tag, and we can see interior doors, and again interior doors. So as we can see, Voiceflow API gives us a lot more functionality, much more flexibility, we do need to tag our files with tags, and then we can use those tags to specifically target only the files with the tags. In fact, there is also a functionality that allows you to not include but exclude. For example, if you are trying to answer a specific question and you don't want to include only certain files that are tagged with certain tags, and for all the other files, it doesn't matter which tag is, you can use the exclude setting. That's quite a simple overview of the functionality that you can get, that you can have if you are using Voiceflow APIs instead of the Voiceflow UI. Because as you can see, like in the UI, you do not have any way to tag these files. And even if those files are being tagged on the API side, you cannot see any like tag information in here. And as mentioned before, like you do not have any ability to choose which files to use for answering this question, and all the settings are global for all of the chatbots and not a certain part, certain flows. So you cannot say that, okay, like for exterior doors, use a GPT-4, and in case we are answering questions about interior doors, those questions will be very simple, and GPT 3.5 is enough. And also you don't have like this chunk limit for specific flows and so on and so on. And with the API, like for each request, you can have different configurations. Like you can have different tags, you can have different chunk limits, you can have different models, temperatures, and system prompts. API gives you a lot more flexibility. That's it regarding the API. And next time we will try to look into how to integrate this API functionality in our chatbot. So we could have all the flexibility from the API part, but also the ease of use and the ease of building our chatbots from the UI side. So see you next time.